All right, guys, I am here today showing you guys the very first turnkey JK chassis project we've done. And man, this thing has been a ton of work. We've put off kind of building the JK for a little while, and we actually feel like that body is becoming more of your wheeler-friendly base platform. The 4 doors is awesome. Families, friends, storage, whatever else. And now that they've got enough time under their belt, you can find these things in a junkyard way easier than you can find CJs, YJs, LJs, TJs even. A lot of those things are getting rusted out. This thing, pretty easy to find. And the bodies in them are made a lot better than what you're finding in some of your older stuff. So this was the next progression for us. We built Jeep chassis now for a good long time. It's an awesome platform whenever you're ready to make that step up from a regular stock frame vehicle. You're wanting to get something that's got true good suspension geometry under it and all that. So making that transition, you're looking at doing something that's either a full buggy or something with an aftermarket frame where you can really place the suspension geometry, the drivetrain, all the components exactly where you're wanting it. This thing lets you kind of blend those two. We've said that they're a buggy undercover. But the cool thing is you get what I feel like is the best of both worlds. You get a buggy chassis underneath, and you get the niceties of having a full-bodied vehicle on the top side. This thing, we really made sure that we had plenty of ergonomical room. We were really a stickler for having headroom, stickler for having foot room, knee room. Transmission shifters got to sit just right and fit just right. Then we went to the back seat. And my favorite part about this thing is 4 grown people can ride in this thing. And when I say grown-ups, I mean like 4, I'm 6'2", me and my buddies can ride in this thing. It's got extra wide PRP GTSE seats all the way around in it. All 4 seats are just the same. And they each one have about as good a legroom as the other. It's one of the few vehicles that I've ever seen where the back seat's just as comfortable as the front. We've never been able to get that into a full tube buggy. We worked really hard on trying to keep the wheelbase in relation to the seating position and all that. And that sounds weird whenever you're talking about wheelbase and seating position, but like in a buggy to get that much leg room, you've got to stretch the wheelbase out really crazy. This thing, we stretched the wheelbase out just a little bit over the factory JK. 4-door, more than anything, it was to get front tire clearance up on the front wheel arch area, because this thing's built around running 40s to 43s at a good usable tire size. If I can say usable, whenever I say usable, I mean you can get full 14-inch articulation out of your shocks. The ride height will be sitting at 7 inches of up travel, 7 inches of down. Talking about suspension on this thing, whenever you're doing a full tube chassis, you can put all the link geometry exactly where you want to, not really where it's dictated on being with the factory frame. Also, talking about the frame, we got to tuck that thing way up underneath the body, tighter than it tucks with a regular stock factory frame, incorporated into Rockwell rails and everything else. But back to the suspension. We've got link geometry numbers where we like them. The shock geometry numbers are where we want them. It's built around 14-inch coilovers to get full travel, flexed up and down, everything, and that's front and rear. This one has 2-inch coilovers, 2.5-inch bypasses. You can fit a 3-inch bypass. We're looking at options of doing just a straight up 2.5-inch coilover with a few different options. So right now, we've got a few of these things actually on the books, everybody seems to be drifting towards that 2-inch coilover and a 2.5-inch bypass. Now, right now, it's all the way down at full bump. It will raise, the body of the vehicle will raise 7 inches to be at ride height. Right now, you're at full bump. We build them without the springs on them. We like to let them all the way down, check everything. They look cool, but that's where this one's sitting at right now, just for this interview and the pictures and whatnot. The axles in this thing are crane axle, 14 bolts, front and rear, 40 spline, front and rear. It's got the RCV big bell in the front, Magnum knuckles. It's got a Willwood lightweight brake kit. Unit bearings on all 4 corners. It's pretty cool that each corner carries the same unit bearing on all 4 corners, and that makes it really good whenever you want to pack a trail spare or whatever else. The front, we've got a PSC RAM, a complete PSC steering system on it. Then we're going to break into an LT engine. This thing has a LT 427. We've got a complete product line for the LT engines coming out. Headers, a CBR pump relocation kit. We've got a TC low mount relocation kit. We've got a sand and air compressor relocation kit. We've got thermostat adapters that convert the lower radiator hose over to -16 or -20. We've got an upper radiator hose for -16. We're coming out with ports from the water pump to convert your heater hoses to ANN-10. We're coming out with a accumulator adapter. All this stuff based on the LT engine that we're building in-house that really just is that next progression in engines. We love the LS platform, but they're just getting harder to find, and this new LT engine is the new thing coming, so we've got behind it. We're able to run them now on Holley electronics without doing the direct injection, taking and putting regular injectors in the intakes and fuel rails, where it gets rid of all the high pressure stuff, and then you can run it on a regular Holley EFI system that you're used to seeing on the LS engines. This one has the big Holley dash in it, and then so we'll get to that when we really hit on the inside of it. But it's a regular electronic system that you'd be used to dealing with from Holley. And then a lot of your components are really close, and what you're used to seeing in the LS platforms, except for the LT is just a little bit different in every which way you can imagine. The headers are different, the motor mounts are different, everything is different. So we've just geared up and adapted to fit all the LT stuff that's coming. Really excited to see how this thing fires up and runs. We've got a couple of them in the shop right now. This one will be the very first one that we actually get to fire up and drive and see how it runs. It's a 427, pretty good numbers off the dyno. Really excited to see what it feels like, seat of the pants. And we've got it hooked to a Turbo 400 transmission and an Atlas transfer case. And we went with a 400 in this thing because not really planning on this one particularly doing a lot of road driving. This one's more set up for hardcore wheeling. We actually did a fuel cell in the back instead of, we've got one designed to go down low. This guy's just really dedicated to wheeling this thing really hard. We put a lot of details into personalizing this rig or customizing it or whatever else. Like the biggest thing that we'll notice is probably the little pockets that we milled into all of the side protection, the side armor. So this is 1/4 inch thick aluminum on the aluminum body. So we came in and we just we've seen stickers and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, what have we not seen? And actually putting those things in our CNC machine and pocketing it out just really give a 3D dimensional to it and really just set it over the top for us. Changed the door handles in the Aqualoo body to where it's got this little street rod door handle. Changed everything over to where it pops off an electronic solenoid on the inside. That way you could have a door handle on the inside and outside. We tried it with mechanical linkage. It didn't really work great, so we went to an electric door popper. The mechanical linkage was so heavy that we were scared that driving down the trails that the weight of the linkage actually would would bang and open the door, and that's just something we weren't gonna risk. So we went with that, but we had to have inside and outside because this thing actually holds a full soft top. So the full soft top, and then we've got heat and AC. So with the full soft top, you want to be able to close that stuff in. So that's the reason why that's it. What we're really looking for is going for the complete package of go anywhere, wheel anywhere, any condition, and have a good time. So heat, AC, top, no top, kind of you name it, you want to do it. You can load up and go wheel. So we'll start walking around this thing and kind of diving into all the little details. So coming in here, showing you guys, like, we totally went all out on detailing this thing out from the inside. Added a cup holder to the door because the console got really busy with all the radio stuff. So we actually just added that to the door. Bead rolled the profile on the inner door panel to match the outer door panel. This is a little hot rod door latch. And then we actually machined these custom pieces just to be able to shut the door with the top and everything on. Used our standard old winter shifter that we love. It's just, man, it works so good not to use. Then we come in, the big Holly dash. It all ties in directly with all the fuel injection stuff. You can do a lot of your programming and just stuff from right here. You don't really want to tune from it or whatnot, but you can fully program this thing to tell you everything that all the sensors are running or whatever else are totally customizable. Really neat to be able to put custom backgrounds and all kinds of stuff like that with. Got our shifter knobs for transfer case and transmission. Full for 4-person rugged radio setup. Each person have a headset. You can talk, all 4 people can talk at one time to each other. You can play music through the headphones. And then if somebody starts to talk, the music cuts down, you talk, and then whenever you stop talking, music picks back up. You can hit one of these buttons and actually talk to another car that has the same type of radio you have and whatnot. These are the vintage AC controls, vents up front. Got it ducked to where we got some vents in the back. It's a Stinger high 10 radio control, and then all the other speakers and stuff associated with this thing's all JL stuff. This thing, it'll run, a couple of apps for GPS stuff. We've actually got front and rear cameras mounted up to it, so all that'll be really cool whenever it all gets hooked up. Went with a Switch Pro for all the switch duties. We've got 2 of their systems here. So we'll break that out into one that holds like all the main functions of the rig, and then another one that holds all the lights and stuff like that. Windshield wipers, the windshield sprayers, everything else from there. Did a little bit of custom machine work on the glove box door. Just, man, everywhere we could touch a little bit of a machining. We've been playing a lot with that as far as like just getting really good and honing our craft as far as being able to grab a piece of, let's just say, flat steel, put it in the mill and go to that next level with it. It really pays off. It's the time worth doing. We're excited about all those little touches that we're able to do. Getting pretty efficient at being able to do it. So we're just really proud to be able to bring that to our customers and do it. The seats in this thing, PRP, GTSE, they're extra wide. They're my favorite seat that PRP makes right now. It's a regular seat cushion. It's got a mud trap in the back. This one we had custom stitched, and with this little kind of reverse chevron pattern that we've incorporated, honestly, throughout the build and all the bracketry and tabs and stuff like that. Even like the seat mounts carry it, the glove box has got it. A lot of just all of the bracketry and tab stuff kind of have that same shape mimicked throughout the whole building, and really just kind of tied it all together. Checking out the back of this thing, we ran the full console down, speaker on each side, air vents, cup holders, and then a USB port. And then we've actually got the 2 plugs hidden down here for the COM ports for your headsets whenever you want to talk to guys. But like, man, this thing, I'm 6'2". I've got a good handle here. My knees don't hit anything crazy or nothing else. I got plenty of room in my seat, plenty of headroom. This is probably what I consider to be the coolest thing about this rig, is like 4 grown-ups can go ride. 4 kids absolutely can, but like, you talk about pre-running into hammers, trail wheeling, doing whatever, hardcore, fast, not. This thing right here, you could do it with you and your buddies, and you could do it safe, and you do it comfortable. Like I said, this right here is where we spend a lot of time designing and then doing and redoing to make sure that we had this thing lined out to where it was friendly for 4 grown-ups to ride in. On the back of this thing, man, it's just, there's nothing overly complicated, but it's just really cool, clean detail work. We recessed the tag and then took all the body armor and give it a good recess around it. Backup camera, just the really nice worked in body lines for around all the hinges. We incorporated these tail lights, got them, built the bucket in, Frenched it all in. Then when we wrapped the body protection around it, cut that out. It's really protected now, top and bottom. The Aqualoo tub has got this really cool storage space in it. Put straps and whatever else in, and then we have fuel cell in the back. Like I said, we've also got the option of running the fuel cell down low, but for really hardcore wheeling, the fuel cell down low is gonna eat up some of your clearance and stuff. So this guy wanted to have the fuel cell inside, so it's whatever the customer wants. We've got 2 options on it. Some guys just want the fuel cell out, that way they can put camping gear and coolers and everything else in it. They would rather give up the space down low. So this is another little neat thing that we kind of took on as one of the over the top projects. I wanted a mirror that fit that really cool custom look. We found this one. It was a smaller version of the factory shape, so it fits the Jeep and everything kind of shape. You could run it like this or turn it up, either way. But then I'm like, man, this is a really nice mirror. So what we're going to do if we get into a spot to where it would be knocked off or whatnot. So we come up with these little quick connects from the inside, and you can actually take the mirrors off really easy. It's got a couple of holes there that'll be finished off nice whenever we go through paint and body work. But then get through the tough spot or just get back from the trail, they clip right back into place and right ready to go. Another thing we're pretty proud of is the front fender on this thing. The JK has never had a good metal fender on it. Using the Aqualoo body that we used on this thing, we were able to come around with a fender that kind of actually pays a little bit of homage to the older CJs and YJs, TJs with that metal fender. I don't know if it's going to be available on the factory tubs from the JKs. We got a few of those coming up right after this one. The aluminum tub was a little bit unique, but I do think it's pretty cool for this build is how it all turned out. Moving up here in the front, we've got a Warren winch. Me and the guys were discussing the other day, I do not think we have done a turnkey rig that's come out of Wide Open Design that has not had a Warren winch on it. That could quite possibly be one of the only brands that we have used throughout the course of history. Pretty neat that brand has been around that long, and we're not even really greatly affiliated or whatever with them. It's just a good, rock solid deal. We did do a deal with KC now. We're carrying the KC lights. They've got a really good platform for the LEDs, HIDs, everything else that goes with the Jeeps. And then a lot of the stuff we're going to be moving over to our buggy line with them as well. Just a company that's been around forever. It's going to have a good long-term presence, and really excited about being able to offer lights and light mounts and everything else that go with all of our Jeep chassis projects. Like in the past, whenever you've ordered a TJ or an LJ or anything else from us, like we've always kind of used lights from a different source and never had a one size, like this is what we do, this is the mount we use and all that. What we've done on this is actually put together a good mount system and everything else that goes with these lights, so we know it fits, and now we can offer it to you guys. Snuck off behind the grill, we've got a vintage air condenser, and we did a deal with Vintage Air to where we have a package now for the JKs. We're coming out with them for the LJs and everything else, to where you can call us and say, I want to put air conditioning on my Jeep chassis. We're going to have start to finish every part that we can put into a kit and ship right to your door. That's huge for us. We've been trying to fight through different things and mismatched parts and everything else, and we finally just got with somebody and sat down and said, we're taking these parts, putting them together for our system, and we've got everything lined out for you. So, got a Griffin radiator. We've started putting together our own package with the radiators, to where we're breaking out our own fan shrouds now, going to a much bigger spall fan than what's ever been available before. Found out that's been the root of a lot of cooling issues we've been seeing. So we've got all that figured out and dialed in. The LT engine looks a little bit different, alternators on that side. We're flipping the intakes around to get the air intake temperature down. Some of our Jeep chassis have been seeing really high air intake temperatures, so we're trying to fix that problem. You can see here, this is the bucket that goes to the headlight I was just kind of talking about with that assembly. We're going to have those offered up. PSC steering, we've been working with that company for a good long time and had pretty good luck out of their products. And then our Hydro Boost is on here. And then of course, Radflow shocks, like what's on pretty much everything else we build around here. The guys from the shop are getting this thing tore down. Everything's going to go through a full weld out. We'll flip the chassis over, weld everything on the bottom, clean off all the spatter, everything else. The body's going to leave here and go to paint. The chassis will go to powder coat. We don't do either one of those things in-house. But then as it comes back, we'll reassemble everything, plumb it, wire it then. So really excited about this thing getting tore down and the next step in line. So stay tuned, and next time you see this thing, it should have color on it.